Hey everybody, and welcome to my review on Gears of War 4. So, a lot of things can be said about Gears of War 4. The main thing to me, though, is that it just didn't live up to the height of the first three games in the first trilogy. Like, there's no way that it could have, right? I mean, Gears 1 through 3 was just like my childhood and like my teen years all bundled together in this awesome package that really helped like shape what I thought Gears of War games should be, and Gears of War 4 just didn't hit that mark. It didn't have the grittiness that the first three games had. It didn't have like the blood and guts and the horror. Like there's always that horror mission in Gears 1 through 3, which I feel like really cemented the series for some people, especially me. Those missions are always my favorite. And then Gears, the first three games had like this overarching weight to the game, right? Like what you were doing in the game was so important to the survival of humanity. And Gears 4 just didn't have that because they're, rebuilding everything because it takes place so many years after. And Baird is now like the main scientist of the COG. He's developed all these robots to pretty much rebuild cities without any human interaction, so that way people can just move in and have them. There's stranded people everywhere. They're basically trying to rebuild humanity, and of course that is going to be a struggle with no matter what you do. Now let's talk about the main characters. JD Phoenix, of course, like being the son of Marcus and Anya is just huge. You get into this game and I just like he was the main person that I wanted to play the game with and like start to form that connection that I had with Marcus and Dom and everybody else. And then you have Kate, and then you have Dell and Oscar for a little bit there too. Kate and Dell though, like I could take it or leave it. Honestly, those characters I didn't really care about through the game, like didn't really hit home with any of those like big emotional moments and stuff, but you're still learning them, I guess, which makes sense. And then Kate's mom, Reyna, is like she's a descendant of the Locust Queen or the Locust Queen's daughter or something like that. And who's her father? We don't know. We don't really know anything about her, but the whole her becoming the new Locust Queen just feels redundant, right? Like not Locust Queen, sorry, Swarm Queen, which is basically the same fucking thing. Like they just needed a different. I feel like they needed a different main villain to kind of take over the new series, because what they're doing right now is basically the same thing that Star Wars did. Oh, we blew up the Death Star, and they rebuilt it, and we blew up the Death Star again, and we rebuilt it into a Death Planet this time, and we blew it up. And it's the same thing. So overall narrative, I'm getting a 6 out of 10. I understand that they're trying to introduce a lot of new characters, a lot of new villains, and an overarching enemy that's going to be, the crux of the new trilogy. And it just didn't hit there for me. The narrative didn't have any of that strong emotional weight to it like the first trilogy did or the first game did, honestly. And don't get me wrong, the game had some really cool moments, and that's why I gave gameplay 7 out of 10, because like when you do finally get to Marcus's house and you see where JD grew up, I mean, and him just like having the secret room of armor and busting out of the house and like destroying everything that's in there, that was huge. That was the best moment of the game for me. I mean, that's one of the only memorable moments that I have from the game. So that's why I kind of gave Market 4 out of 10. It just didn't live up to the hype. There's no way that it could have lived up to the hype no matter what they did, but I feel like they lost a lot of the old script writers from the first trilogy. They brought in new people, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it just didn't hit the mark for me. Social, I gave a 5 out of 10. They made a ton of changes to multiplayer, a ton of changes to co-op and how that works and everything, and I just didn't really enjoy it. I played multiplayer a little bit, but I didn't play it nearly as much as Gears 1, 2, and 3. Graphics and technical, I both gave those a 10 out of 10. I didn't experience any bugs in the game. I thought the graphics were awesome. It was very realistic looking. I mean, it definitely increased on the graphics from Gears 3 with the new Unreal Engine and all the different next gen consoles and everything like that. So I think graphics and technical were perfect. Those are great. Value, I gave a 7 out of 10. I can't remember if Gears 4 introduced the Battle Pass or how they did that, but it just didn't. The DLC for me was not that spectacular. It didn't, add enough to the game to make me want to buy it. It just really didn't hit it for me. Audio, I gave a 10 out of 10. I think the voice actors for Kate, Dell, and JD and Oscar, I think they all did an amazing job. I think all the audio from the guns to the swarm to everything else was fantastic, and it was very well delivered. But once again, it just plays into the narrative that it's like I know that they're not reusing the same sounds they had before, but it's the same kind of thing. The locust and the swarm are it's just a different variant of what they already got. And we played 3 games with that, so I was expecting something new, something kind of fresh, and I think they were trying to hit on the nostalgia portion of like old cog heads like me, but also trying to get in a new generation of people that were introduced in Gears games, Gears of War games. And we saw a little bit of that in Gears 5 too, and now they're bringing back Gears of War E-Day, which I'm super excited for. I hope they bring it back and kind of hit the mark on the grittiness, the emotional turmoil of the game, and like that overarching weight that you felt throughout playing the first 3 games. Like every single move was so important. So for overall, I'm giving Gears of War 4 a 7.4 out of 10. Like I said, it's not a bad game whatsoever. I think I played through it twice, but other than that, I'm not really looking to play it again. I think it was fine for a one-off game, but I just expected more, and I'm really hoping that Gears of War E-Day scratches that itch for me. Thanks for coming to my review of Gears of War 4. If you enjoyed it, please check out my playlist below of Gears 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I played through all of them a couple years ago. So if you enjoyed it, thanks, and I hope to see you on the next one.